But this afternoon or this morning here, I'm an hour behind, I'm already running ahead. We have we're going to have a different kind of format. We're going to have 4 separate topics, and we're going to devote 20 minutes to each topic. And there's going to be
John, you're done.
That's it for me today. We'll see you later. But we're going to cover those in 20 minutes. There's going to be, first off, there's going to be about 3 or 4 questions for each candidate to answer. And then these questions came from a bank of 2,000 questions that a lot of you folks submitted to Diane. And then we'll have some individual questions that are directed to one of the candidates specifically. And we'll go over 3 or 4 of those topics, and we'll hear some different views from the gentleman. Instead of a 2-minute canned speech, you guys will get to learn a little bit more about them. So with that, we will get underway. With the first session, the first topic, we're going to want to know a little bit more about you guys. Background and reasons for running is our topic. We've all heard, you know, about your families and your desire to get involved that way and everything else. We want to know a little bit more. There's some of the folks want to know a little bit more things about you. So if we can start with Richard, you first. We want to know educational background, 3 or 4 of your most recent jobs. Have you served in the military? And what is your religious affiliation? We can ask that.
We on here? Can you hear? You hear back there? All right. Good morning. It's great to see you on this rainy morning. My name is Richard Bainey. It's great to see you gentlemen again. We've been everywhere. I feel like we should do the punch here. All right. Here, 1 for Don. Let's all do 1 for Don. There we go. But it's good to be here with all you guys this morning. And yes, where's my background? First of all, I never expected to be doing this. I don't have a political background. Never cared to have a political background. My education, I'm an entrepreneur. I've actually created businesses literally from my kitchen table. In this country, when you take life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness and you mix it with blood, sweat, and tears, and our constitutional liberties, wonderful dreams can come true, and that's where I come from. I come from a broken home. Single-family home, raised by my father, a GM mechanic, and all the rough times associated with that. Fought to get myself through school. I'm a kind of guy that doesn't like school. John, I have a feeling, loves school. He went all the way. Okay? I don't like school. I get bored with school. I like to get out there. I attended finally a Wright State University outside of Dayton, Ohio. Made it to senior status and said, I'm tired of this. I want to start a business. And that's what I did. Started that business. Created millions of dollars, hundreds of jobs. And I lost it in a hostile takeover. Chinese company. The Chinese are tough. But in America, you can fail forward. And that's what I did as well. And after I picked myself up off the couch, feeling sorry for myself, dusted myself off, got the grand idea of starting another business and did just that. And started Attaboy Plumbing Company. Attaboy. Anyone local here? Attaboy. Please call. We need to work. It's their tough times. And I literally started in the truck myself. Less than $1,000. In America, you can do that. Stop your whining. Less than $1,000. Get your truck, and get to work. I had 3 young children. Thought it was important to have health care. Instead of hitting Susan Martin up here in the front row for money to pay for my family, or you, brother, I decided to get a second job. Imagine that. Second job. Got a job at UPS over here on the west side. Throwing boxes.
Let's move on a little bit more here. We got more questions to go.
Oh, well, I want to take Marlon's time. People know who Marlon is. Where do you want answered?
Military service.
Served in the military. United States Navy. Air traffic controller. Had a fun time there.
Religious affiliation. I'm
a Christian. Okay. Saved by grace. Attend Church of the Crossing, Church of God over there on the north side of town. Keystone 465. I'm a choir boy, love the choir, and messing around with the church there. Any other questions? My pet's names. One of my pet's names.
Mr. Don.
Lady and Tramp.
Mr. Coates is next.
All right.
Mr. Coates, I think what you were trying to call that was a filibuster, wasn't it? He's not a politician, but he's on the right track, isn't he?
He yielded back the rest of his time. And John, how much was that?
Yeah.
Does that have a minus in front of it? Thank you, Richard, and thank all of you for coming out on a rainy morning. It would have been a good morning to sleep in. None of us have had much of that in the last several months. But I appreciate you being here, and I know people have gotten up very, very early and driven a long way to be here, so it's encouraging that you're here. This is in response to Acorn. This is the response to Acorn. The fact that you're coming out of your homes and out of your churches and out of your businesses and getting engaged and getting up on a rainy Saturday morning and driving hundreds of miles, some of you, many miles to get here and be engaged. That's the response to Acorn. What we have here are not people that Acorn describes. We ought to wear that as a badge of honor, because if they are against us, by gosh, we're for America and they aren't. And you're here, and I think that's very, very important. And we've seen this all across the state. I served in the U.S. Army during the time of Vietnam. I did not serve in Vietnam. The computer sent me elsewhere, but we were married at the time. Our first daughter was born in an Army hospital. I came out of that, and then we already had one child. And went to law school here in Indianapolis, Indiana University. I worked during the day, went to school at night, had to do that to raise a family. Our second daughter was born in community hospital here in Indianapolis. Graduated from law school. We moved to Fort Wayne. I took a position there with a company where I was an attorney. I'd never practiced law per se. I used my law background in that company, but I was primarily in the investment business. I almost turned to Don Bates, who's been in the investment business, but he is sick. I talked to him this morning on the phone. He called to say he really, truly is sick, and if you talk to him for 2 seconds on the phone, you would understand that that is true. After that, I had the great privilege of being introduced to a young fellow by the name of Dan Quayle. And Dan asked if I would take a 2-year leave of absence from the company that I was working with to help him get started in his new role as a brand new congressman. A major upset in the 4th District of Indiana. Well, that 2 years turned into 4 years, and then Dan Quayle decided to run for the United States Senate and encouraged me, along with a lot of other people from the Fort Wayne area, to run for Congress. And I was fortunate enough to be elected to Congress. I pledged for term limits. I honored term limits. I left. At that time, shortly after that, George Bush, 43, President Bush called and asked if I would serve as his ambassador to Germany. Marcia and I left. We arrived. My second day on the job was 9/11. Our son-in-law, who's in the military, worked for Army staff at that time, was right at the spot in the Pentagon where the plane hit. And for 4 hours, we didn't know whether he was dead, alive, injured, or whatever. I called Marcia every half hour. We had emergency stuff going on in the embassy. I was interacting between our government and the German government. What do we do now? How do we provide security for Germans and Americans in Germany? How do we deal with these issues? What about the borders? Are there more terrorist threats coming? It was an amazing beginning to 4 years of very, very meaningful, difficult, challenging work, but a wonderful experience. Came back, and then the president asked if I would shepherd Justice Alito through the Supreme Court confirmation process, one of the greatest experiences of my life. The kind of person who demonstrates exactly what we need for the kind of justices that are faithful to the Constitution and faithful to the Founding Fathers. And I'm so proud of him, Judge Roberts here from Indiana, now Chief Justice Roberts, along with Clarence Thomas and Anthony Scalia. These are 4 models of what we ought to have in the United States Supreme Court. So I'm a born-again Christian, and I stand here by the grace of God, and only by the grace of God. I went to Wheaton College, a small Christian school, just 2,200 students, and that's how I graduated from Indiana University Law School. And John, did I miss anything?
You're good to go.
Thank you. Thank you all. Look forward to it.